Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Average at Best. As always, my name is Josh.
My name's Rob, and today we have the first episode of what's going to be a two-part series that details specifically when the lanes get dry and what you should do when you're running out of options.
This is going to be part one, where we're going to talk about the three-step approach. So without further ado, let's get into it.
So the first two things that I'm going to briefly touch on is basically step one, what is the three-step approach even? So we'll go ahead and show some examples on screen here of pros utilizing the three-step approach. And basically what it is it's taking your normal approach of 4, 5, 6, however many steps you take, and shortening it down to only 3 steps. And this can be advantageous because, as you can see right next to me, the ball return actually extends into part of the lane where our approach is. So having the ball return extend this far means that if you have to keep moving left to the point where you're up against the ball return, you literally run out of room to continue moving left. So what the three-step approach allows you to do is get in front of that ball return, just completely take it out of play, and you can keep moving as far left as what the lane is telling you to do. Now that's what we always preach, is play how the lanes tell you how to play, and trying to force urethane or plastic because the lanes are super dry is more often than not the right way to go when the lanes burn out. And then the second part of it, which I already kind of highlighted, is when is a three-step approach useful? So like I was saying, when the lanes really start to burn down, let's say you're bowling a tournament, or this even happens, at the high school or collegiate level, the lanes get really dry just from balls continuously going over the same parts of the lane. Your ball's hooking so much, you keep moving farther and farther left to prevent that hook and find more oil, and next thing you know, you're all the way up against the ball return. So this three-step approach can be incredibly useful to maintain a somewhat fluid approach while also getting far enough left that you're able to find more oil so your ball doesn't overhook. Now that I touched on those two things and we showed some examples of pros doing this, let's go ahead and get right into how to line up for the three-step approach.
Before I get into the three-step approach, I'm just going to show you guys my regular 5-step approach to kind of give you an idea of what we're going to be taking out of it. So what I do is I normally stand right at this front set of dots. That's just what I'm most comfortable with. Most other people, sometimes they're all the way back here, sometimes right here. It doesn't really matter where you're at, just as long as you have a consistent place at where you're starting. So that was a little sloppy there, but as you can see, my 5-step approach starts out with my first 2 steps going like this and like this. In a 3-step approach, we're going to try and get rid of those steps and basically put that all into 1 step together. So where you line up for your 3-step approach is heavily going to depend on which lane you're on. If you're on the right lane, obviously you've got this big ball return that you're going to have to deal with and you're going to have to go around. The advantage to having a 3-step approach is it eliminates the need for you, if you're trying to get as far left as possible, the need for you to have to go around the ball return. This can lead to a lot of inconsistencies, and it can really kind of hinder every single shot that you throw because you're having to repeat the same side step around the ball return every time. So what a 3-step accomplishes is that it gets rid of having to do that. And so what you're going to do is line up for your regular 5-step approach and just walk 2 steps forward. Now, on your 2nd step, this should be where you're starting your 3rd step, or your 3-step approach. So, I'm just going to move over here. I'm in front of the ball return, and this is basically where, if I were to start my 3-step approach, I should slide right before that foul line light. So I'm just going to demonstrate that for you right now. And that was a little slow, but I wanted to show you guys the type of movement that I'm making. Obviously, with your 3-step approach, you have to eliminate the first 2 steps of your approach. And during those 2 steps, you're moving the ball. So for a 3-step approach, you have to make sure that you move the ball the same amount before you even start. So if you saw there, my arm and my ball moved forward and went into the swing before my left foot even moved. And that was to basically get it synced up with if I were throwing a regular 5-step approach. So you have to move it out, and right before you're about to hit this part of your backswing is whenever you start moving. I'll demonstrate it one more time for you guys. This time I'll go a little bit faster so you can see how a full swing actually looks. And as you can see there on these dry lanes, I'm able to throw from over here, and I'm able to actually get it to come up and strike.
Alrighty, so we're over here on the left lane now to talk about three-stepping on the left lane. So, of course, with the left lane, you've got a lot more room here to continuously move left and left as you need. So three-stepping is not really a requirement on the left lane. However, I personally would recommend that if you're three-stepping and you're in front of the ball return on the right lane, that you at least implement that on the left lane to have consistency between the two lanes. This is something that specifically the two-handers like Anthony Simonson likes to do. When he was at the Masters last year, and we've seen him do this a lot, where he's in front of the ball return on the right lane, and on the left lane, he is all the way up, basically simulating as if there was a ball return here and he was in front of the ball return too. So just a little bit different from Josh. I start a little bit farther back as I'm a one-hander converted to two-handed. So when I start, like here are the dots, instead of being up at the front dots like him, I'm more in the back, like third in between the dots. So when I'm doing my approach, I'm at 1, 2, and I am basically right in line with the ball return right here. So I'm much closer to the back end of the ball return compared to where Josh starts. So basically what I'll do when I want to set up for a three-step approach on the left lane is I figure out which board I'm standing on, of course, as I keep moving left. Let's say I'm standing on just this dark board right here as a landmark. And I'm just gonna look right next to me and make sure that I'm lining up to where my back right foot is basically directly in line with the ball return right next to me. And then what I like to do as well is, unlike Josh as well, as I like to spread my feet just a little bit. Instead of having them tighter together, I just feel like it's a little more fluid. It gets me right into everything. And then basically similar to Josh, I just line everything up, push the ball off, and as I'm pushing the ball off, that first foot goes and I go into my slide, or into my three-step, I guess I should say. Not into my slide, so. Okay, so that was pretty good. And you see, I finished pretty far back from the foul line. I'm like a foot back from the foul line. That's just how I finish normally. And I did loft that ball a little bit, which is of course what we're talking about next. But whenever you're doing the three-step, it can be really hard to get this down at first. And if you're somebody who is typically a lower rev player, or two-handers are going to use this admittedly more often than one-handers are, this is not something that you're going to need to practice a lot. However, if you find yourself going to tournaments, you're going to whatever, even league, and the lanes are just getting destroyed and you're like, I keep having to move left, this is something really good to practice. But it's going to take a lot of practice. I mean, you're going to have to dedicate a day or so to just go and practice this. And at first, it's going to feel really uncomfortable to push that ball away and take that step with your left foot. Like, it took me a while to get a hang of this. But once I did, now it's something that I feel like I can just go from bowling my normal 5-step to boom, I can bowl a 3-step with ease. So it's all about having versatility in your game and just being able to do as many things as possible. That's what'll help you win tournaments. That's what'll help you get higher scores in bowling.
So that in its simplest form is how to perform a 3-step technique. If you guys have any questions, if you want something in this video explained in more detail, please make sure to leave it in the comments below, and we are going to get to as many comments as we can and answer any of your guys' questions.
Yeah, trust me, we do see the comments, and today we made sure that we weren't in the dark on today's video because the brightness was a little low on the last one. But yeah, please leave any comments or anything down below. Make sure to like and subscribe if you did like today's video, and we do have a Patreon. It's the best way to support the channel. Shout out to the 2 people that are subbed to the
Three people
Patreon now.
now.
Three.
Three people.
We got 3 people on the Patreon.
They're going to be on the screen right now, so thank you guys for supporting the channel.
Yes, thank you guys so much. And don't forget that part 2 of this video will be coming out within the next week that details specifically lofting, which is arguably the most important aspect of the 3-step approach when the lanes get really dry.
It's a very, very useful tool, especially whenever the front of the lanes get really dry. So make sure to take a look out for that video when it comes out.
Yep. So thank you guys so much for watching. We look forward to seeing you all in the next one.
Peace out.